Good morning. This is John from the Springs Mennonite Church. Happy to be with you today. I hope I hope you have a wonderful upcoming week. I really do. And I think God does too. This morning I want to continue my perusing the Ten Commandments in the book of Exodus. You know, the first few commandments tell us about who God is. And then the second ones tell us what relationship we're to have with other people. And I started yesterday with the very first one, which is to love the Lord your God with all your heart. God picks up on that same theme, if you will, in verse 4. And let me share it. You must not make for yourself an idol of any kind or an image of anything in the heavens or on the earth or in the sea. You must not bow down to them or worship them. For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God who will not tolerate your affection for any other gods. But I lavish unfailing love for 1,000 generations to those who love me and obey my commandments. God says something really important here. We must not make an idol. Now I know over 2,000 years of Christianity and thousands of years of Judaism before that, been a lot of discussion, a lot of argument about what idols or what are or are not idols. A lot of Protestants think the Catholics are wrong and having all of those statues and all of those icons in their buildings. The Eastern Orthodox Church has even more. And some consider them to be idols. I don't know if God does. I really don't think that's what he's talking about. So let me just share a few minutes. You must not make for yourself. You hear those words? We, we human beings, we mortal beings are making something that's comparable to God. And then it says, and do not bow down and worship it. Well, maybe you're thinking, I've never done that. And I hope that's true. But in our world, a lot of people make a lot of things that show their importance. I think of some of the largest companies and their owners. Some of them are really proud, more so than they probably should be, of what they've accomplished. Now, I think they ought to be proud of how they've used their abilities, but they got to think about it more than that. I had a fellow in my church years ago. It's a small town, and he was the longtime editor of the county newspaper. And in the big county cemetery, he wanted people to remember him. So we built a monument. Oh, I'm guessing it was 40 feet tall, black granite. And anywhere in the cemetery, you could see his monument. You could see that represented someone really important, or at least they thought they were. And this guy, when he died, that's where he was buried. And he said, I want people to remember me. Well, I don't know if he worshiped that monument. I suppose he didn't. I never had a chance to ask him. though I wish I had. But I do know that he exaggerated his importance over other people. And a lot of people do that. Now, I'm the first one to admit that God has given me lots of gifts, lots of abilities. Sometimes I've used them to my fullest potential, and sometimes I haven't. But I'm not special in that regard. Nobody, nobody should look at me as though I'm somehow really different. I encourage people to call me by my first name. Happens a lot of the time. Even when I was teaching at the university level, I asked people to call me by my first name. And when someone said, why? I said, well, I've been called that longer than any other name in my life. So I think it'll be sufficient. I never did hang my academic credentials on the walls. I never did make a big deal about my title because that wasn't who I was. That just described what I did. And if, which isn't going to happen, if I would have found a company that would become enormously successful and I would have lots of money, I wouldn't change my lifestyle. Oh, I know some of you say, well, that you just get there. Well, I've been there. I've been there with my family. And I don't want to go there again. There's nothing more important in this world than God. Nothing. Nothing, nothing, nothing is more important than God. And here he says, don't worship anything over me. And he goes on to say at the end of verse 6, I lavish unfailing love for 1,000 generations to those who love me and obey my commandments. What reward do I get for following the Lord? Well, I can think of a lot of them, but the one that counts the most is I know I make God smile. Now, I wish I did it more than I do because I mess up. But when I get it right, I can feel him smiling. And I know, because I know, because I know that God is pleased. And I think that's how he wants all of us to be, even more frequently than any of us have been in the past. So I invite you to take a good look at your life. How are you doing? Is the most important person or thing in your life God? If it isn't, well, okay, you can change that. Well, you think about it. Appreciate you listening. If you have a prayer concern or a need of whatever, give us a call. We'll do everything we can, as fast as we can, to help meet your need. Thanks so much for listening. God bless you. I'll talk to you again.